Hello, dear listener or viewer, depending on how much I can be bothered to edit this. We're here, Heavy Metal Therapy, and we are talking to Baz from Massive Wagons. Hey, Baz.
How's it going? You well?
Yeah, do you know, no one ever asked me. No one ever asked
There
me.
you
Oh,
go.
right, mate.
I hope you are well. You look well.
Oh, thank you, mate. I always look a bit pasty. You look great.
You know you're
But,
good at lying.
go like, do you know what? Let's do that check-in, because I think that's something Andy's Man Club always does, and that's
Mm.
something we sort of. How are you, mate? How are you?
I'm good. I am good. Thank you very much for asking. Yeah, I think it's important. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's nice. It's nice to be asked. I always like to ask people how they're doing. Yeah, I think it's important, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, obviously you guys touring at the moment. Your band's
Mm.
kick a big tour, and you guys done something that makes you kind of heroes in my mind. My last kind of job in mental health, I was doing sort of social outreach, going out to places in the community,
Mm.
and getting to talk about mental health, getting them to refer
Brilliant.
to whatever's out there.
Brilliant.
You guys are kind of invited Andy's Man Club to come to your gigs and set up a stall.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, well, they're an amazing bunch, and they do a great thing. And I've always said, we're lucky enough to have a bit of a platform, however
Yeah,
big or small that is, and it can be used for many things. I think apart from pushing songs and t-shirts, I
yeah.
think it's important to use it for noble causes like that. And they do a great job, and they deserve for people to know about all about them.
Yeah. I've got to ask why, and I think we all know the answers, but I kind of want to hear as well. Why Andy's Man Club? Why in particular? Because they do a lot of suicide prevention. Anyone doesn't know, Andy's Man Club was sort of formed after the suicide of someone,
Mm,
to get men to talk about mental health, to get men to talk
yeah,
about what's going on, because actually talking about it is one of the best ways to deal with it.
definitely, yeah.
Does wonderful, but why Andy's Man Club? And why suicide prevention? There's a million good causes out there.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, I mean, it's difficult, isn't it? I mean,
Hmm.
yeah. I mean, we actually started the campaign off the back of the Night Skies video and the song, and we
Yeah,
originally put out. We didn't initially intend it to focus on men's mental health,
yeah,
or the Andy's Man Club thing didn't come along immediately because we did put out a big long list of contacts, and it wanted to be all encompassing. And we made sure we had, when we put the press release out and the video out, we had men's mental health, women's mental health, LGBTQ mental health, kids mental health, teens mental health. We wanted just to put a list of contact, valuable contacts, along with the video, so people watching the video. It was targeted at everyone. The Andy's Man Club thing came along through because they've been a part of the rock scene, really, and I've come across them before, and they're really, they just sort of, they were in our view, really. And it was suggested by somebody. I can't remember, one of our team or one of our band or one of our crew. Why don't we do something with Andy's Man Club? And I was like, yeah, well, why not? I don't know. I don't know why them, but they were suggested, and it just made sense when we thought about it. They'd done some stuff with a Stone Dead festival before, with Chris Sunby. He had them along, and we'd spoke to some of the bands that had done some of the stuff with him, and they root themselves with some. They've worked with some big musical artists. I just sort of went from there. Really, it wasn't an intentional thing. They're just really great, and we just come across them again, and we're really inspired by what they do. And the men's mental health thing is often something that's maybe swept under the rug a little bit. So we thought it's a noble cause. We'll get on board with it. Hmm.
yeah. And I guess it's a good one because it's potentially worldwide as well. Because if anyone doesn't know, Andy's Man Club's, it's kind of, I don't like this word, but it's the best way to describe it. It's kind of a franchise, so
Hmm.
anyone can set one up. We have a very
Yeah,
similar one called Be Right for mental health therapy. Anyone can set one up. They'll support you to do it. They'll help you on the way, but ultimately it's like you can go and do it yourself. So
yeah,
anyone in the world can do it, can't you? You guys could be
yeah.
like everyone in Japan, and like there could be an
Yeah.
Andy's Man Club there, couldn't there?
It's brilliant. It's a great system, and it's very effective. And they seem to have got this ball rolling, and it's getting faster and faster. And once you follow them on social media, and you follow two or three of the separate groups in the different places, you see a lot of stuff, and they're all the guys behind the scenes of all these separate places. They're all very active and very proactive and very on it, you know, and it all looks very impressive, and the branding and everything, and it all works. It all very striking and individual, and it stands out, which is very important. It grabs. You see that, and you just immediately know what that means, what that is. You
Yeah.
know, it's Andy's Man Club, isn't it? And that's, you can't really buy that. That's something that's been created and has just taken on a life of its own, and it's valuable, isn't it? You know, so they do a great
Yeah.
job.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, mate. And what do you think? Because obviously you guys taking a step to do this, you're kind of bringing people kind of in along with you. But how do you think artists and the music industry can kind of improve mental health as a whole? What can people do in your industry? I mean, you guys are busy, do an awful lot, it's very stressful. But what do you also think that would help
Um,
or does
I mean,
help? You know,
I'll give another shout out here to
do it, mate.
another amazing charity that we did a little bit of work with called Tonic. I don't know if you've ever heard of Tonic. They do focus. They focus on mental health in the music business,
Yeah,
looking after people on the road, away from their families, on crew, on band members, on everybody to do with the music business. So Tonic are amazing, and they have a great sort of setup to deal with all that sort of stuff. You know, people on the road, like away from their families. But I mean, yeah, I mean, I think tackling the root cause. I mean, no matter what job you do, even people in the music business, getting to people and themselves, and getting them to understand that they need to look after themselves is the primary goal, I think, isn't it? You know, regardless of what job you do. But on the road, I don't know really. Yeah, what can you do to improve your mental health on the road? Stay in touch with your family, stay in touch with people, talk to each other. Don't isolate yourself. It can be, people have tough jobs, and I don't want to, being on the road is difficult. No more difficult than any other job, I wouldn't have thought. But
mm,
you are alone a lot of the time, and you do work odd hours and long hours, and it's you might be on the road for 2 or 3 weeks, but those 2 or 3 weeks you sort of don't get 5 minutes off. You're always doing something.
mm,
So it's important to have some downtime. It's important to chill out. It's important to be. I think camaraderie on the road is a massive part of it, a massive thing. When we're on the road and everything clicks and everybody gets on, and the vibe is good, it's a joy to be on the road, and everybody looks out for one another. It's really good. But when you're a crew member and you're on the road, you can't always pick who you're on the road with, can you? So
no,
it can be difficult. But I think you got to appeal to people to look after themselves and to look after one another on the road, because you're all in the same boat and away from your families a lot of the time.
yeah.
If that makes any sense at all.
No, no, it does. I guess also the hours are strange, aren't they? It's not like
Yeah,
you can, what's kind of open when you guys finish. It's like pubs and nightclubs, isn't it? And that's not
yeah.
always good. There's I suppose some gyms are open now, but it's like you can't really go for a coffee. You can't really go shopping. You
It can
can't
it
do a
can
lot of
be
it.
it can be difficult. It also depends. It also depends what level of band you are. I mean, if you're a massive band, you can do what you like. I suppose
Yeah,
you got 20 crew members there. You don't have to do anything until you walk on stage. Where if you're a band like us, you're loading in, you're loading out, you're setting up guitars. You're doing interviews. From the minute you sort of wake up, people think the life on the bus is glamorous, and it's cool. Don't get me wrong; it's great to have a tour bus and all that, but it serves a purpose. And you start your day when you wake up. Might wake up at get out of bed at 9 o'clock, but because you've gone to bed at 2, 3 in the morning, and you get up, and as soon as you get up, you're at the next venue. So you're out, you're looking at the venue, you're going in. The doors will open. You'll get your breakfast and stuff.
yeah,
Maybe do some interviews, do some social media stuff, do some sort of photographs out, do some posts. Doors will open at 2. Then you then start loading in, and then you don't really stop again until two in the morning because you're loading out. They are long days.
yeah,
But the beauty of being in a band is when you come home. I am very, very, very fortunate. I realise that I get to do this band for a job now. So I get to spend time with my family. So I value that. I take my little girl to school and pick her up from school, things like that. You know, I don't care about having tons of money in the bank and all that. They're the things I value. I can't count myself very lucky to be able to do those things.
yeah. So and also, I mean, one of the things that we kind of do in mental health therapy is we often collect music.
Right.
We've got like libraries of people, the songs that people use to kind of cope, songs
Mm,
that kind of get you up. And this is not necessarily the songs that inspire you musically,
right.
inspire Massive Wagons, but what's your pick of songs that kind of pick you up, make you feel invincible, or kind of help you deal with, thoughts that might be a little bit darker?
Ooh, crikey, O'Reilly.
Yeah. I find it really hard to answer this one. This is like I always feel awkward asking this because I'm like, have you got a year or two? You know, and you can change your mind halfway through, mate. That's fine.
That's all right.
Because I always do.
I don't know. I don't know really. That is a tough question. I'm rubbish at on the spot questions, but I'd have to say, the type of music. If you're feeling down, for me, or feeling a bit out of it or a bit lost, the last thing you want to do is wallow in miserable music, isn't it? You know, there are all those songs out there that the sort of songs that feed into your misery or feed into emotions, and they're the ones you want to avoid. To be honest, I think. As an example, we don't use this music to get away from nasty thoughts or intrusive thoughts. But before we go on stage as a band, we always have the laptop going, and we're always watching. We either watch Airborne, generally Wacken 2008.
Yeah.
Because there's that show. If you've never seen it, watch that gig. It's amazing. Or we watch some sort of like mid-80s Scorpions show. You know,
yeah.
Because those two bands are, for me, us. It's all about the energy and upbeat and positivity, and that music genuinely fires us all up in the dressing room before we go on. You know, we were all watching this, still getting ready. We've got the scopes on or whatever. It fires you up. It gets you going. It really gets you pumping. You know? So these kind of songs. So something by Scorpions. You know,
by Scorpions.
Blackout by Scorpions. That'll do.
Yeah, yeah. If it's the 80s, I love ballads. So Wind of Change, lots of slow pumping and muscles. Yeah, that's I love like ballads like that. But yeah, but Airborne are fantastic. I got to see them live, and they were just a blur. They were yeah. So I get them.
Nothing like them, is it? Amazing.
So no, that's really really cool. Like, I imagine you guys almost having like a get pumped session before you guys go on stage.
I don't know really. We don't do that. We don't do the whole business. You just admire those guys, and that's the kind of band. They're the kind of bands we aspire to be. You know, Scorpions back in the 80s. There's nothing like them. You know, it's just non-stop craziness. You know, and that's kind of what we aspire to be. That stage show, that kind of power, that energy, that good time feel, and it just makes us feel like, you know, this is what we're going to do tonight, kind of thing. You know, yeah. There you go.
There you go. And I'm going to put you on the spot again, Baz, for this one.
No.
No. So if you could give like one piece of advice to anyone, this is almost like life advice to anyone who's going kind of through it. Anyone, especially with like Andy's Man Club. So you often people are isolated, feel they can't talk about what's going on. What would your advice be to them? You know, what would you say to them to help them cope a bit?
Sorry, ask that again. Sorry.
So what would your kind of advice be to anyone who's going through anything? You know, what could help them? What would you say to them? You know.
Oh yeah. Talk to your trust your friends.
Yeah.
I think it's very important to have trusted friends and family, people around you. My dad always said, you're lucky if you go through life and you can count real friends on one hand. You know, if you can count real friends on one hand, you're a lucky person. And I think we all need friends and people we can trust. And like you said, it's all about talking. You can't. You have to be able to talk to people. You have to have somebody in your life. And I'll tell you something else I think that's really very important. I've always thought having an escape is very important. I know it sounds silly, but having a hobby, something for you that you can throw yourself into, that nobody else has to understand or has to be interested in. Something that gets you away from all the stuff in your life, your job, and all that. I mean, I say I'm lucky. I do the band for a job, but take it from me, we've worked hard to get to this point, and I'm very appreciative and I love it. But I have to get away from it because this is completely all in. My other half is our manager, for crying out loud. You know, so in our house, it's just this band non-stop. I have to get away from it. So I think you have to have an escape. Nobody else has to understand it or realise why you're doing it. But you have to go to somewhere you can go where you can build lawn mowers or paint pictures or take photographs. Or do something that's just for you, and I think it's a brain escape and something for your mind to think about when you're feeling that, you know, things are getting to you a bit.
I think from the male mental health point of view, that's really good, isn't it? Because we're not always great at talking face to face, are we?
No,
I don't often, even my closest friends, don't often sit them and tell them everything's good, everything's bad. But we do a lot of things like side by side. Like I'm trying to hide my massive collection of war games and Warhammer over here. But
Yeah.
I might get one of my mates over for a game.
Yeah.
We'll initially we are talking about the game, but also we're like eventually we'll get on to like talking about life, and things
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that. So I think a lot of men we almost need a subscription, don't we, to
Yeah.
to hang out with our male friends. So having a hobby can be great for that because you can bump into people from the hobby, can't you?
Definitely, yeah, definitely you can, yeah, make new friends. I think it's also important to say. I think the fact that a lot of pubs. I mean, I was never really a pub guy, to be honest, but
Mm.
a lot of pubs are closing down.
Yeah,
There aren't as many people. The people don't have the free cash as well anymore to go out and do things. So cost of living crisis has probably added to a lot of guys not being able to contact their mates because they haven't got the money to go out anymore or as much. Can't go down the pub for after work for a beer or whatever. You got to go home and save all your money. And all these things feed into isolation, don't they? I think.
yeah, yeah. I guess nothing wrong with inviting your mate over for a cup of tea. That's absolutely fine.
Well, it depends who it is, doesn't it?
Yeah, but, yeah, it is. I mean, maybe meet them outside. Maybe meet in a cafe somewhere, neutral
And
ground.
maybe we'll meet him out somewhere.
Yeah. No, wonderful, Baz. Thank you so much for this, and thank you so much
No
for
worries.
sort of reaching out to other organisations. It really is wonderful. I mean, but for us, obviously, mashing music and mental health together is a big thing. You guys are doing it on a practical level.
Oh no, likewise. Fair play. To you and everybody that does it. There's, I could go on all day. I mean, it's difficult. Like I said, it's difficult to pick somebody to support without feeling like you're isolating other people that are doing great things. If
Yeah,
Andy's Man Club, it's like, well, what about the men's pie club in Newcastle? I did a thing a few years ago. I wore a t-shirt, a download for the men's pie club in Newcastle, which is a northeast organisation where blokes go and make pies every week. Because somehow blokes and pies go hand in hand, but they go and make pies and
I've
talk
never heard
together.
of this.
I thought that was amazing.
That's
You know,
brilliant.
you want to shout about all these things. You can't shout about everybody, but I'd like
No,
to. But as long as everybody's doing a bit of shouting, we're all helping out. I think.
that's it. Everyone, every band, listen up. You need to
Do
grab
a bit.
something. You need to
Do
roll
a
with
bit.
them. Yeah,
Exactly.
I want to go to this pie place now.
I know, like me and all. Yeah,
Oh,
I absolutely. Yeah.
yeah,
Men's
yeah,
pie club.
yeah. And you're from Lancashire as well, aren't you?
I am. Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
God's
the best
country.
pies, best pies. Yeah, meat and potato
Like,
pie, the best I've ever had in my life.
oh well, there you go. Yeah, you heard it here
Yeah,
first.
a good connection, everyone, and fantastic pies. That's what we need.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, we've sold it. We've solved
We've
it.
sold it. That was good. That's it. NHS, we got this.
Yeah, brilliant.
Right. Thank you so much for your time, mate.
No worries at all.
All the best with this next tour, and
Thank you.
yeah, thank you so much, mate.
Likewise. Thanks for talking to me. I
Right.
appreciate
Take
it.
care, Baz. Love to you. Love to the guys.
See you later, buddy.
Bye.